In last lecture, we built a static page. You remember in chapter 1. Now it's time to make it more interactive. So the idea is if I click on one of these circles, for instance, the color would change or randomly. That's what the aim for. And you, as we know, we don't need coding here, just a proper, let's call it magic prompt, right? So what we want to do is give me HTML and CSS and JavaScript here because we want to do two other things, not just a skeleton of the system or our web app. We just want to go like how the colors would change, which is part of a CSS, and how the functionality would change, which is part of JavaScript, right? So we need both. Just give me HTML. You don't have to say it. It would give you, if you don't really know that, but if you just give it, so it will give you probably the right answer quickly. So that shows four colored, as we wanted, circles that change color when clicked. So let's just do that and see how we can manage it, all right? And what the outcome would look like. So you see, I said, give me HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that shows four color circle that change color. So here's quickly the files. You remember locally you can download it there as HTML file and double click on it, or you can just online have a quick look. So here is the result, right? Just let me just maximize it. So we have four colors, and the idea was if I click, it randomly changes. Click, randomly changes the color, right? So that eventually we want to match it with the color that we was given. That was the whole idea of the game, right? So you can see you can change it. And then you may say, well, I have no clue. How did it happen? That's where the magic also happens. That's the learning part of it. So you can actually go through, you can actually go line by line to understand it. Or you can simply, sometimes I do this, please explain the script function to a beginner. And then you actually go, so you remember here, this is good to know the style, this is basically the CSS part, usually the star part, so style. And we have the head, and then we have the body, usually the structure part of it. You can see that the different classes of circles here, you can define different things. And then this is the JavaScript part, right? Script, JavaScript usually. So we have the function for get random color. And here we actually have some sort of events like a click or selecting for each circle that when we click on them, and then here you remember we said get random color, so it goes back to this function and brings a random color according to this equation. We'll go through that if you like. And then the circle's background, each circle background would get a random number or random color, right? So how did it work? You nicely can go through that. You see here, I asked to explain it and just go through it one by one. Says this function, here what it does. So the random just gives you a random number between 0 to 1, for instance, zero point 0.4, whatever. And then mass random, it just the highest number of a 6 digit. So you may not know all these details. Doesn't really matter. That's the beauty of, dealing with AI. And, so in the past, we used to just learn every single of these things, then create. But now you can create and go back and learn the details, right? So hopefully you can create even more, because eventually if you do these things, that's the hypothesis that I have, do these kind of things 10 times, then you learn it, right? Rather than just learning first all these details, then to be able to create, because the idea is to create, in my opinion. Anyway, and then the floor is rounds it, so it doesn't matter again if you don't know it, so you can actually ask again and again. You remember, ask ChatGPT or an AI or even Google it if you like, but ChatGPT is faster. And all other details that we discuss it, and at the end it has to be like with hash in front of to make it a valid CSS color. Okay, you have no clue what it is, and then you actually can go through the detail as we talk about it here. So the next code or part of the script, here it is. What it does, it actually goes through the document in different circles, for each one of them is kind of for loop, and then add an event listener and then click on it, or you can actually have a hover on it or things like that, and then get a color, a random color, and assign it to it, right, to that particular circle, as we did here nicely. Okay, hope you learn it. In summary, you are creating random color in hex format. Okay, you are selecting all circle elements on the page, and when any circle is linked or clicked, it changes to a random color. Okay. So this is basically what we did, like what's happening behind the scene. Every single part means these kind of, ideas or actions. The query one selects all circle elements. On click is a click reaction to each wall. Get random color. We discuss it. Create a new RGB color each time you click, and this is basically JavaScript in action or interaction made easy. So for the next steps, you can try all these kind of things. So you can say, okay, I want to remove border radius to make them square, or I had box shadows, or and you can come up with your own prompts. Please do so and try to practice and learn all these details. Until next session, enjoy learning.